Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Rohan, otherwise known as the Roshank Redemption, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a theory that I had pertaining to the potential return of the Mothership Zeta DLC in Fallout 4. And just before getting into the video here, I want to clarify that when I say the return of the Mothership Zeta DLC, I don't literally mean the return of the exact same DLC from Fallout 3, since Zeta was destroyed by the Lone Wanderer in Fallout 3, but instead I'm using it as a phrase to refer to the idea that a different alien ship will return to Earth, and the sole survivor in Fallout 4 will be able to visit it and have a similar experience to what happened in Fallout 3. So once again, when I say the return of the Mothership Zeta DLC, I don't literally mean the return of this DLC, as it's just a term that I'm using for this theory to make things a little bit easier. Alright, so the reason why I first came up with this theory is because of the loading screen that you guys are currently seeing. And just a heads up, I realize that this first point I'm about to make is nowhere near enough evidence to support this theory, but I promise that the second piece of evidence is a lot more convincing. Anyways, does anyone else find the way this loading screen description is worded just a little bit strange? Because as many of you may know, the alien blaster in Fallout 4 is obtainable through an encounter with an individual alien piloting a UFO. But the fact that Bethesda uses the words alien species in this loading screen seems to indicate a larger group of aliens, not just an individual. And I realize that this could be just a reference to Fallout 3 and the Lone Wanderer's encounter with aliens, and on its own this really means nothing, but I guess I just found the way that Bethesda worded the loading screen a little bit weird, and it's also a bit strange that they even decided to put this loading screen in the game in the first place. So I decided to do some research and see if there was a possibility of the Mothership Zeta DLC returning, and what I ended up finding out was actually pretty interesting. Now, first of all, and this might come as a surprise to many of you who aren't as familiar with Fallout background and lore, but Zeta, which is the alien ship from Mothership Zeta, has been observing Earth for over 600 years. That's right guys, Zeta has been around and orbiting Earth for 600 years. Furthermore, as I'm sure many of you already know, in Fallout 3, a crashed alien ship can be found in the northern part of the Capital Wasteland, and at this crash site you can find the alien blaster, and if you had the Mothership Zeta DLC, then you could get abducted into the alien ship Zeta. The reason I bring this up is that given how long Zeta has been around, it's incredibly likely that the crashed alien ship in Fallout 3 came directly from Zeta. So the alien piloting it left Mothership Zeta for some reason, perhaps to do patrol or to explore, something of that nature, but it ended up crashing on Earth. To support this idea, the ship that crashed in Fallout 3 is called a recon craft, and the term recon literally means scoping out or gathering information, which indicates that the ship was sent by Zeta in order to gather intel on Earth and bring it back to the mothership. And even if you don't believe that the alien ship came directly from Zeta, the fact remains that there is a direct connection between the crashed ship in Fallout 3 and Mothership Zeta. Furthermore, as I mentioned earlier, if certain conditions are met in Fallout 4, then the sole survivor will witness an alien recon ship crash landing on Earth, and from this encounter, he or she can obtain the alien blaster. And if you guys don't believe me on this, I'll leave a link in the description to a video showing this event. And also, I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that the alien recon craft in Fallout 4 either came from, or at the very least is associated with an alien mothership of some kind, as was the case in Fallout 3. However, if you think about it, the Fallout 4 crash landing makes no sense, and the reason why is that the events of Fallout 3 take place in 2277, and it is confirmed beyond a doubt by the official Fallout 4 timeline that Zeta, the mothership from the DLC, was destroyed in 2277, and the events of Fallout 4 take place 10 years later after the mothership was destroyed in 2287. So this pretty much confirms beyond a doubt that the alien crash landing in Fallout 4 takes place after Mothership Zeta and the second ship orbiting Earth were destroyed by the Lone Wanderer in 2277, which I should mention by the way, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Mothership Zeta DLC, there were actually two motherships orbiting Earth, one of which is unnamed and the other of which is called Zeta. But anyways, the point is that the ship that crashes in Fallout 4 cannot have come from either of the two alien motherships that were destroyed by the Lone Wanderer in 2277. At this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay Roshank, so what does this all mean? Well, it means one thing and one thing only. There's another alien mothership out there that sent the alien recon craft that crashes on Earth in Fallout 4, and that ship is probably either close to Earth or already orbiting it. You could argue that the ship that crashed on Earth in Fallout 4 is just some random ship that lost its way, but that doesn't really make any sense since it's officially called a recon craft, meaning it was doing some sort of recon or gathering intel for some purpose, and the only purpose that would really make sense is if the recon craft were scoping out Earth for the new mothership that is approaching. So guys, the point is that there has got to be another alien mothership nearby Earth, and I very much doubt that Bethesda would go and have another alien mothership like that without some sort of purpose, which means that there's a high likelihood that the sole survivor will get to visit this mothership at some point during the events of Fallout 4, meaning the Return of the Mothership Zeta DLC. Now, I will say here that Bethesda has been known to contradict Fallout lore in the past, so it wouldn't come as a shock if my theory didn't end up panning out, but the fact remains that there's something a little fishy here with all these alien ships and timeline contradictions, which is really only solved by the presence of another alien mothership and the Return of the Mothership Zeta DLC. And then finally here, before anything's off, I've got a short little wish list of improvements that I want to see over the Fallout 3 version of the Mothership Zeta DLC if it does return, and the improvements are as follows. 1. I'm hoping for much more space and less cramped areas. Those of you who play the DLC in Fallout 3 know exactly what I'm talking about here, because the ship was insanely cramped and super claustrophobic, making it really difficult to enjoy the DLC at times. The DLC would honestly have turned out a lot better if they just given us a little bit more space, so I'm definitely hoping that they do that in Fallout 4. 2, they have got to give us a better spacewalk experience. Those of you who played the DLC remember the spacewalk in Fallout 3 and probably remember a pretty lackluster experience, since all you really got to do was walk outside the ship for a minute or two, and there wasn't really any difference from normal gameplay in my opinion, with the exception of the scenery. And also, I would have loved to see some combat in space, even if that's a little bit unrealistic, so this is my second hope for the Fallout 4 version of Mothership Zeta. 3rd and finally, I definitely want to see a better variety of enemies, since the enemies in the Fallout 3 Mothership Zeta DLC were honestly pretty terribly done and there was barely any variety at times. So if they do decide to bring back the DLC for Fallout 4, then I'm definitely hoping they do a better job with the enemies overall. Alright folks, that is pretty much going to do it for this video. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Fallout 4 content in the future. The common question of the day is, what do you guys think about this theory and about the prospect of Mothership Zeta returning? Me, like I said, I'm not 100% sure about this theory by any stretch of the imagination, but there's definitely something fishy here. There's something fishy, and to me that indicates the potential return of Mothership Zeta, or at least of something similar, some sort of similar experience in a DLC. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in my next video.